Well, Tina, thank you so much for being with me today. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Can you tell me more about yourself and your company?
Yes, so my name is Tina Markowitz. I oversee global strategy for Cendyn. Cendyn is a hospitality tech company. We have different solutions and products for hospitality, for hoteliers to really generate revenue, right? At the end of the day, that's what they're looking to do. And so we have a full suite of products that is really trying to track the journey from finding to booking to growing, and really being that one-stop shop for hoteliers to get what they need in order to drive their business. And so that covers everything from revenue management to a CRS and a booking engine to our full-service digital team.
And you told me before, off camera, that you came into this industry because you were in retail before, right?
Yes, retail and e-commerce on the agency side.
Okay, cool.
So.
And you wanted to be able to do a little more with the data?
Yes. What I found really fascinating about hospitality is that people are coming to hotels as this experience, right? As opposed to so many other transactions that we do where you're just buying something online, you just check in, check out, and you move on to the next thing in your day. Versus coming to stay at a hotel, you're willing to give data because you know that they can customize that experience for you. And as a marketer, that's the holy grail. And it's really one of the last industries where people are willing to do that. And so to me, that's really fascinating and something that allows you to build a consumer-centric journey that is tailored to how people are interacting with digital now, but also interacting just in general. And so how can you start to customize that experience? How can you improve the experience? Because that's how people think. They're not just thinking about checking into a hotel. Separately, they eat at a restaurant. Separately, they book at a spa. They're thinking about it as one experience. And so it's up to hoteliers and us as hospitality marketers to deliver that experience.
But it's true that it's our fault that sometimes we do think in silos. So maybe the guests will not think like that, but usually
hoteliers do.
Wise,
Yes. Which is, one of the things that we as an industry have to overcome. And
so you got a market.
Where Cendyn is uniquely positioned to help, because that's how we have to start to think, right? The consumer is there. We have to meet them where they are. And we can't be thinking only about room revenue and then leave it up to other teams to do different kinds of revenue. It's, as you said, all revenue, right?
Right.
Money is money.
My theory is always the same. There's no such thing as ancillary revenue. If it generates revenue, that's revenue.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I know you went through a full rebranding recently.
We have.
Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yes. So we have gone through multiple acquisitions over the past couple of years. And I think for a lot of our clients and potential customers, we talked a lot about the companies we acquired. So Pegasus, people were familiar with Pegasus and Travel Tripper. We're now Cendyn. And so we really had to find a way to bring all of our products together in one easy to understand story. So we did that with Find, Book, and Grow. So really trying to orient our products around how people engage and think about booking their hotel stay, their experience. And so we have products that help you find your guest, whether that's website or digital marketing or our e-commerce SaaS product, to allow people to really get those tactics up and running that they need to drive revenue. Then we think about booking. How can we enable booking, help hoteliers drive more direct business, help corporate sales, things like that. And then obviously growing that relationship. It's all about loyalty at the end of the day. How do you continue to market to your existing customers and continue those conversations past the initial transaction?
Do you think the fact that you did all of this acquisition over time puts you in a position in the market where you can have a more, I hate the word because it's overused, but a more holistic approach? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you knew it in advance.
Yes.
It means that it's overused.
Yep, absolutely. Holistic and personalized,
I need to come up with a synonym.
I do. I mean, that was the goal, of course, through the acquisitions, right? Thinking about how we could build better products that were more informed by the data that we were able to collect. And so I think not only does that give us an edge in terms of product development, because we're able to leverage what we're seeing as trends across the breadth of hospitality products, but also in how we service our customers and how we're able to, bring them the insights that they need because we're seeing it from one side or the other. And the other really huge one is that our products speak to each other.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about revenue management with a CRS integration, right? That integrated solution just means that your demand forecasts get better, right? You're able to leverage that CRS data. You're able to leverage CRS data on the digital side as well, CRM data into metasearch. So those are some of the areas where we're starting to see the integrations really pay off in terms of driving more efficient direct business at a time when that's what hotels need to drive the bottom line.
Because I think, especially, and you know more than I do, in retail it's more like mainly a one-stop shop, right? Let's say you go on Amazon, you check in, you check out, there's nothing else to do, right?
Yep.
With travel, it's way more complicated. I was reading an article that talked about 500 touch points. It's crazy if you think about it.
I think every time you read a new study, there's more touch points.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, there were two things that were fascinating to me coming into hospitality. One is this idea of a transaction that happens ahead of the actual consumption of the product, right? And so this idea of a booking window, and that can be a day or even sometimes a few hours to 9 months, right? And so really
years in some cases.
Because people are planning these amazing bucket list trips, right? And so that from the standpoint of a marketer, you really have to, not only do you have to understand everything about the consumer, but you then have to understand where they are in their planning process versus when they're actually taking a trip, right? So it's almost like you have to do double duty.
And will they change their mind before the trip?
Well, you bring cancellations in, that's a whole other ballgame. And the other one was this idea of fixed inventory, because from a retail or an e-commerce standpoint, as a marketer, you do a good job, you have more things to sell, right? You make more of the thing you're selling.
Sure.
Fixed inventory with hotels, I can do the best job selling the most efficient rooms for the maximum revenue. They're not going to go build more rooms tomorrow. Yeah. You only have so many, and so you really have to think about a media strategy, a marketing strategy, leveraging all the tools you have available, right? So it's finding the right people as efficiently as you can where they are, and then really, clearing out the booking process so that there's less friction, right, in the consumer journey. And then being able to leverage re-engaging, growing, how can you get more value from people who have stayed already? So you have to be holistic. I cringe saying it. But have a broader approach than I think you do on the e-commerce side, where it's all about just driving the next sale.
I think the scarcity maybe triggers this out-of-the-box thinking.
Yeah, I love that.
Extent.
Absolutely. I wish more people were sort of thinking more out of the box. I think sometimes one of the challenges we have with hoteliers is that they are a little siloed. And so that out-of-the-box thinking comes when you can challenge them to work together, right? We're at the commercial strategy conference, so another buzzword that we're seeing, right? But how can the different teams on the hotel side work together to drive a better commercial strategy?
We've been talking a lot with other people that sit in your place today, that we do not only have a tech silo problem, we do have a people silo problem in the hospitality space.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to something else. I need to ask you about AI.
Of course.
Okay?
Yes.
Let me just try to do it in a more smart way. Okay? We always used quite a lot of AI, or at least automation in the industry, right?
Yeah.
But it was more in the background, automating repetitive tasks, a lot of AI going into revenue management systems and so forth.
Yeah.
I think what is happening now is that AI is a little more visible, especially with generative AI, creating marketing content, for example, or campaigns. Do you see this trend happening?
Absolutely. As you said, certainly on the content management side, content creation side, content analysis. So you think about ease, the sort of ease of analyzing hundreds of customer reviews, and how can you start to pull out and synthesize important information. So those are areas where just in a workflow standpoint, things are easier. But then we have to really think about it from a marketing standpoint because people's behavior is changing.
Yeah.
Now, on one hand, I'd maybe argue that we always have to pay attention to changing in consumer preferences. COVID with, being able to use your phone, right? Scanning QR codes for menus. Nobody even would have thought about that prior to COVID, and now it's so accepted, right? So a really rapid adoption.
Only the geeks.
Well, no, everybody does it. I think my parents do it too. But thinking about how people's searches are changing, right? How are they asking questions of not just their phone, but their TV or Alexa? And so how can we start to, be present for those searches? And then as people are changing how they're getting someplace, how they're planning a trip, how they're, trying to learn more about what to do in different cities that they're visiting, how can we then translate that into just, outside of search, into other channels, and then creating content there and aligning with their path through the 500 touch points that they have prior to booking.
Because there is a part of the travel, it's a lot of experience, right? But there's a lot of logistics as well.
Yeah,
and a lot of frustration. That is the booking path.
Yes.
It's broken.
Yeah.
You know it better than everybody because you do have all of these different touch points that you're trying to solve to a certain extent. And to me, it always go back to data, right?
Yep.
And I've been saying this probably this is the 20th time I say the same thing today, but they will cut it out. And that's, I think that in 10 years, every travel tech company will be a data company.
Yes.
Otherwise, there will be no company at all, right?
Yes.
And I think you are in this position now with all the acquisition and the way you're trying to connect the dots, that you can actually do that. So my last question for you would be, how important are data in Cendyn?
I mean, I think you sort of answered your own question, right? It's the most important thing. I think you hear quotes where data, first-party data especially, is more valuable than oil, right? It's more valuable than gold, right? There's a lot of different quotes about it. I think that's true. I think that it's probably easier for large companies to be further ahead in the curve of sort of compiling data, making it more actionable, eventually monetizing it. Yeah. But we see this happening on the retail media side for years, right? Where they've recognized the value in their data and they've actually recreated themselves as media channels and selling inventory.
I always use the example of Reddit.
Yeah.
Reddit IPO to me is the perfect example.
Yeah, or look at Walmart and Target.
Yeah, sure.
Right, where they're creating these whole media ecosystems that didn't exist before, and it's built on data. Right, they're able to monetize their data. So what we need to do as hospitality partners is help our clients and our customers get there, start to understand and make it easier for them to realize the value of their data, and not only to draw insights, but again, to monetize it, right? You even just look at the lifetime value of a repeat guest versus a new guest. Yep. The cost to bring someone who stayed before back versus the cost of finding a new guest. So we think about all of those components, and so that's really what we want to do going forward. So it's not just about, yes, we can leverage data to tell a better story and to know more about different segments, but how can we, at the end of the day, use data to drive more money?
That's a great way of saying that. Okay. Well, Tina, thank you so much.
Of course, it was great.
We'll meet again next year.
Yes.